Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host Stan Rattan and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I taste the wines, I review them, I grade them, and then it's up to you. I review, it's up to you. Gotta quit wiping. This is a habit I notice on all my shows. I just do this wipe thing. I don't know whether it's distracting or not, but just let me know. Give me a clue or two about what you think I can do to improve this show. One thing I'm not going to do with this show is keep going and going and going with a small amount of views. Now I've said I went way back, and some of them have a bunch, and some hardly have any. And it's kind of, it's not frustrating. I love doing this, but I would like to see improvement in the viewership. So if you're watching, thank you very much. If you have some friends, you can share, say, hey, watch these videos. They're pretty cool. You can learn something about wine. You can find new wines, that sort of thing. And then if you can see anywhere area where I can improve on these videos, I really appreciate the input. I haven't gotten any in a long time. I know a few of you have given me some input, and perhaps I didn't implement what you suggested. I hope you don't get discouraged. I did listen, and I just had to come up with my own decision on that. And so I hope it doesn't offend you in any way if I didn't initiate any of your suggestions. But I have listened and I have done some things to improve the videos. So thank you very much for all your input. Now every February I do this thing called 15 wines under 15 bucks in February. And for all my peeps out there, I'm going to send an email out on this one. I want you to watch the next few episodes. I'm going to go through the 15 wines that I chose, that were chosen by certain distributors to be their best wines under $15. Now, if you know anything about me at all, I get really pumped up when I find a wine under 15 bucks that shows really well, because I want people to enjoy wine on a regular basis. Now, I know there's a few of you out there that can afford to buy really expensive wines all the time. I'm not one of those people, and I know most of my friends and my peeps are not in that category. So we're always looking for wines that we can buy that are not so expensive, that are very good, and that's the direction that I like to lead people, because I want to see people drink wine on a regular basis. So we're going to start out with the first three. So there'll be 5 episodes with 3 wines each. And you can see how I rate these wines, and for those of you that have already tasted them, you can see if you agree or disagree with me on this. First one I'm going to do is Syrah from Tenuta San Antonio. It is a Garganega Chardonnay blend from Veneto, Italy, in the northern part of Italy. And Garganega is the main grape of Soave. For those of you who have tried a Soave, I haven't had one in a while. But believe it or not, with Soave, there's some really killer Soaves out there. It's not all Bola. They do some really serious stuff up there. Comes in at 12.5% alcohol, and this rolls in at $11. So I always like to find very interesting white wines just to get a little bit away from Chardonnay. I love Chardonnay, don't get me wrong. I love Sauvignon Blanc. I love Pinot, well, I don't love Pinot Gris. I like some Pinot Gris, if they're done in that Pinot Gris style. I'm not a huge fan of Pinot Grigio. I do drink it occasionally. And there is one that we're going to try on one of these episodes that ran in under $15. So, let's see what we get on the nose. But isn't it fun to find a fairly inexpensive white? Because, summer is coming up. We're getting close to spring. And you'll be drinking more whites. I drink whites year-round. I know a lot of you do. But isn't it fun to find a white that's kind of interesting, a little bit different? This is Chardonnay with a Garganega in it. So, that makes it a little different. Let's see what we get on the nose. Real like pine sap and grapefruit pith. Get a little bit of dried herbs coming through and some white flowers. There's a little bit of a tangerine skin element coming through on the nose. By the way, the aromas on this are huge. They just pop out of the glass. You don't have to think too much about it. It's just there. Now let's see what we get on the palate. So good acidity, so it's very bright on the palate, kind of cutting. It doesn't cut your tongue, but it's there. I get that pine kind of grapefruit pith, grapefruit coming through on the palate big time. And right at the very end, I get a little bit of that tangerine orange, a little bit of melon, some white flowers. The dried herbs are front to back. This has a nice roundness on the mid palate going into the finish. It's got that nice brightness. It has a good fruit, and it has a little bit of a roundness on it, almost like there's a honey edge to it, but it's not honey. There's even a little minerality on this, which is very interesting. This is a very, very good wine if you're really into Sauvignon Blanc, let's say from New Zealand. But it's not even really close in a sense, because it has that roundness that comes from the Chardonnay. And you get a little bit of that pear. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting pear notes on the back end. The finish goes for a long time, and the minerality kind of hangs out on the finish also. This would be a great wine with oysters. It'd be a great wine with mussels, any of those types of things. And it would also be good, it would go well with roasted fowl, chicken. It certainly has enough roundness in it to do that. And some Asian noodles, it would be good with that. Nothing spicy though, it would definitely conflict with the wine. Good wine. I'm going to go B plus on that wine. And if you're looking for something new, and this is only $11. I think this is, $11. Did I say, no, 11. Yes, sorry. Now let's move on to the next one. This is Fedriani Lafite Syrah, and it is from Spain. And let's see, Bodegas Vinitos Alvarez is the producer. Now, this is interesting. This is 2012. Did I give the vintage on that one? 2013 on the Garganega Chardonnay. You don't see a lot of Syrah out of Spain. So this has my curiosity up on this one. This rolls in at $10. Crazy price. Kind of a cool label. Oh, by the way, you think I never did these before. Let's give you a quick look at the Corvina. Sorry about that. Garganega Chardonnay, just a real simple, plain label. But there it is for you. Skya from Tenuta San Antonio. And I gave that one a B+. Now let's move on to the Alvarez Fedriani Lafite Syrah. Now this kind of got a cool label. It's got that little metal thing on it. Let's see. There we go. There we go. See it? Real plain. This is distributed by American Northwest and distributors out of Seattle. I say they sell a lot of this wine. Let's see what we get on the nose. A little bit of green bell pepper asparagus coming through. Get a little blackberry and plum action. There's a little bit of tobacco, a little bit of tar element coming through, but the fruit is definitely the prominent part of the nose. It's not smoky like a lot of the Washington Syrahs or even from the Rhone Valley can be. They get that roasted meat smell to them. This does not have that. But right on the backside of that fruit, on those blackberries and the plum, a little bit of currant action too. You get a little bit of that herbaceousness, that green bell pepper, that asparagus. All right, let's see what we get on the palate. Very interesting. I did not get this on the nose at all, but there's definitely blueberry on this, and a lot of tobacco. I think tobacco is a big characteristic of this red wine, and with the blueberry, so it's kind of a blueberry tobacco blend with a little touch of like red currants coming through on the backside, right on the finish. It's not very high in acid. At first, my initial reaction on my palate was a little bit boring, but then it started getting more interesting as it went on. Yeah, there's an interesting green element coming through. It's almost like you chewed on a grass stalk. Not quite. But the red currants kind of overtake that. It's kind of a beam right on the mid palate. I think it's that tobacco with a little bit of that asparagus. Interesting wine. Not sure if I'm like super excited about this wine. I can see somebody that likes an old world. This has definitely got an old world quality to it. There's a little minerality on the back end. The blueberries are a little bit underripe, which I think gives it a little bit of that green character. It's almost like they left the stem, like you're chewing on a blueberry with the stems on them. And that red currant, sort of underripe red raspberry. Not feeling this one. I'm going to go C, C+. I think it's average, maybe just a touch above average. It's $10, but you know, I could find you a whole lot of better wines for $10. Trust me, I can do that. I can find them. It's okay. They say they sell a lot of it. Could be the label. I always worry about that with the labels. I'm one of these kind of guys that goes, okay, it's got a cute label, but it better be good wine, because I'm always nervous that somebody's going to buy a wine from my department based on the label, and they're going to get home and it's going to be a crappy wine. And you know, I want them to trust me. So the wines that I bring in that have cute labels like this one, or cool labels, you know what I'm saying, they have to be good wines. Let's move on to the next one. So these are two Syrahs. I thought I'd put them side by side. This one rolls in at $9, which is crazy price. This is from France, from the Languedoc region of France. And this is the Astruc Syrah Sud de France. So it's a table red. It is a Malros, France, it says. And this rolls in, like I said, at $9. It even says partly aged in oak barrels for 6 months. For $9, you get one aged in oak barrels. That's craziness. That's crazy talk, I'm telling you. There's the label. I really like their Viognier, by the way. This is the first time I've ever tried their Syrah. So I'm curious about this one. Or the second time. Okay. A little bit challenge on the nose. Now this one has more of that, little bit of that roasted meat, a little bit of like dried bacon on it. Getting a little bit of earth, like a little dirt factor underneath. I get some boysenberry and plum notes coming through. But still, it's a challenge. You really have to work at it. It's not like it pops out of the glass at you, but definitely an earthy nose with a little bit of that roasted meat, bacon, and plums and blackberries, boysenberries. I even get, it's getting better now. Get a little bit better. I'm even getting a little bit of like red flower notes coming through on the nose. This is very smooth. It's like smooth, silky smooth on the palate. There are no tannins on this. If there are, they're very well integrated in with the structure of the wine. I'm getting a lot of tobacco, a lot of the red flower notes are coming through, and then a core of red and black plums with a little bit of boysenberry action. The earth notes are really evident on this wine. This is a great wine, and I'll tell you why. I'm not gonna. It's not like a high. This is like one that's you're gonna write to mom about. But what I like about this wine is it's smooth enough to appeal to the New World palate, but it has a lot of Old World action, a little bit of that underlying red flowers and earth and dirt and tobacco. And at the very end, it gets a little brighter. I would get more into the red plum notes that come through on the backside. A little bit of cherry coming through. It's $9. It's the kind of wine I could drink on a daily basis. It would go well with grilled meats. It would go well with roasted vegetables. It would go well with chicken. It's got all of those elements that make it really good. And that earthy kind of minerality that comes through at the back end, it makes it even more interesting. I'm going to go C+, B- on this wine. Definitely better than the Fedriani. So yeah, I'm going to go B-. I am. I think it's a very good wine for $9. I think it has a lot to offer for the price. So there you go. 3 wines under $15. Actually, all of them were under $12, which is really cool. And none of them were terrible by any stretch. I mean, I didn't like the Syrah from Spain, but that's me. Maybe for my descriptor, you'll like it. You know your palate. That's what counts. Thanks for watching, and remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Understand your palate. Be willing to expand your palate horizons. Try new things. Never let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.